I get a lot of people asking me how we were blessed to walk away from corporate America in our early 30s. Well, listen, I don't want to keep that a secret. I want to share it with the world. And so maybe you're listening to this podcast and you're trying to figure out, how do I even get started on my journey of entrepreneurship and getting to a level of freedom? Well, text the word freedom to 737 777 9909. Enter your information in, and we look forward to sharing some information with you. A proven system with small overhead, right? That you can do part-time, spare time, right from the comfort of your home, and have amazing mentors, coaches, and a community of entrepreneurs who are willing to support you and help you on your journey to freedom. Welcome to Code Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales. Have you ever felt stuck? Have you ever felt like there's got to be more than life than the reality that you see every day? Tune in weekly, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays as we crack the codes to freedom in every area of your life. Welcome to Code Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales, and this is episode 49. And you know what? I'm excited because, I want to bring something a little different to you all. I want to bring something new. And so we're going to call it Freedom Talks. And so typically I have a certain subject in mind, and we're talking about that subject, or I'll have an interview, and that person is sharing whatever they're going to share in the interview, which, by the way, you definitely want to check out the next episodes. Episode 50 is going to be epic. I'm going to actually have one of my old college professors from 20 years ago, my economics teacher, but he had such a profound impact on me back then, because that was literally when I first started my business, and I was wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready for action when it came to entrepreneurship, and he really kind of set the tone for me on a lot of different levels. So that's going to be exciting. But what I'm going to do, like I said, is we're going to have some segments called Freedom Talks. Yes, Freedom Talks. And so sometimes it'll be me sharing just different reasons why freedom makes sense, and why you want to have more freedom, and why you want to take advantage of all these codes. But then other times I'll have just conversations with people who I know that have already had a level of freedom, and they can just share their perspective on just freedom and some of the things they've been able to do as a result, right? And so I'm just going to share just some ideas today. But I just want to introduce this to you because I think it's going to be fun. Always looking for creative ways to make this podcast fun and exciting, and also bringing in as much value as I can. And so today, I'm kind of going to ramble a little bit, but not in a bad way. I'm going to ramble from a standpoint, just sharing some thoughts and ideas, where I'm not talking about necessarily one main thought per se. You get what I'm saying? So let's jump right in. So one thing that I wanted to really share with you on why having freedom is so critical and so important, and it should be a goal. Like, it should be one of the most important goals that we shoot for. But I mean, honestly, it's not even something most people think about. I mean, don't get me wrong. I won't say they don't think about it, but they don't set a plan in motion to go after it, right? We just kind of it's like it sounds good. It would be nice if it happens, but it seems so far away for most people. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to put this podcast together, is because I wanted to make it where it wasn't so elusive, but it could be something you could touch. And really, it's all about a testimony. If you can hear someone's testimony of what they've done and how they've gotten to a place, then you believe more because you've heard other people. So that's why I'm excited to have more interviews, more talks about this topic and this subject. So anyway, so I was talking to one of my mentors the other day, or I was on a call or Zoom. Right, we don't do calls anymore. We do Zoom everything, right? But he said something I thought was so profound, and it stuck with me. He said, in the beginning of his business, he had challenges, right? He had lots of different challenges he had to go through. But he said, one of the things that pushed me is the thought of his kids qualifying to go to a special school, right? Because they earned it, because they worked hard, they studied, but him not being able to afford to go for them to go because he didn't have the money. And that would crush him. And I thought about that like, wow. I mean, one thing about having freedom is it gives you options, right? Because now you have choices because you don't have to necessarily worry about it. Those things are important to be able to have the options, to be able to have the flexibility. So I just want to just kind of share that thought because I'm sure there's some people on the line here or on this podcast, I should say, that would want to be in that position where you can give your kids everything you want that they need, right? You can give your spouse whatever they want, right? And I'm not necessarily talking about. I mean, yes, like I said, it'd be fun to just buy your spouse a car with a bow on it, right? Or surprise mom or dad with something. But I'm talking about, some things like we just talked about, being able to pay for their education, if they choose to, right? If they choose to go to a certain school. Now, one thing that I want to do that I've always talked about is when my children are grown, I like to give them an option. I would like to give them an option to either go to school, right, with XYZ money, or take XYZ money and start a business. And but knowing me, they'll probably have already started some businesses before they even get to that point because I want to start them early, right? So these are just things that are in my mind, because you guys know a little bit how I feel about the education system. If you go back to some of the earlier episodes where I talk about that, and again, I'm not knocking education, but things are definitely different now. Things are definitely have changed, and like, okay, if you want to be a nurse, you have to get an education, right? You have to get, a specific education. If you want to be a lawyer, you have to get a specific education. If you want to be a doctor, whatever, there's certain professions where you have to, but I'm telling you, you got people who go to school for business administration, but they don't really have a clearly defined goal on what that degree is going to do for them. They just thought it sounded nice, and they were told that they need to go to college to be successful, and that's not necessarily the case, right? So maybe I'll bring some statistics and studies to share on another episode about that. But my whole point with that is just that I want to give them options. I want to be in a position to give them options where they can choose for themselves, because that's the other thing we talked about on this podcast is being able to think for yourself, not just going with the crowd and just going with what everyone says or what everyone does, but being able to critically think and say, wait, why am I doing this? Am I doing this because everyone else is doing it? Or should I really be doing this? Should I really think about this, right? Like, is this the right direction for me, right? It's okay if it's the direction for everyone else, but I don't have to do what everyone else does, right? I teach my nephew all the time, I'm a leader, not a follower, right? I mean, yes, we all follow someone to an extent. You have to follow before you can lead, but at some point, it's time to lead. It's time to say, look, I'm not going to do what everyone else does. I heard someone say, um, if everyone else is going that way, you go the opposite way. And I tend to agree with that. Warren Buffett said, when people are greedy, be conservative. And when people are conservative, be greedy, right? So it's the same kind of philosophy. Is there's a reason why 3%ers think one way and the other 97%ers think another way, right? And so you just got to really decide which group do you want to be in, right? I heard Jim Rohn say something a long time ago I thought was so mind blowing. And man, I'm having fun on this little just ramble session. I got a lot of thoughts on my head. I'm just getting off my chest. And this is what we call freedom talk. So I'm going to slide in some of these on a regular basis. I'm having fun with it. But but he said, look, if you took all the money away from everybody in the world and then divided it up evenly, and then just let them do what they're kind of paradigm to do, then all that money will end up right back in the same hands, right? And they'll still be There won't be an equality where everyone has the same amount, but there'll be a group of 3%ers and there'll be a group of 70%ers automatically, right? And that really was like, wow, because it's true. Like, there's a reason why people who win the lottery end up not having anything after it, right? So it's so easy to just spend, and say, "Oh man, I'm living it up," instead of saying, "Look, what investments am I going to make? What long-term investment? What short-term investments? Can I get an advisor? Can I get some coaches? Can I get some people around me who are smarter than me, who can coach me, advise me, teach me, mentor me, show me what I need to do?" Of course, that you can trust, right? So those are just important concepts, right? And so, anyway, my point, guys, is that it's important for us to have freedom. And these are just some reasons why. I can probably talk another 10 or 20 minutes or more on other reasons why it's so important that we have freedom. But the reason we need to have freedom is to have options, to be able to do what we need to do when we need to do it, and not have to consult the bank account, not have to consult the boss. But we just do it because we're the boss, right? And we get to dictate and decide what's going to happen. So listen, guys, I appreciate you all for tuning in. Episode 49. Make sure you listen to episode 50 on Saturday. And I can't wait to share more with you guys and just bring more value. Tag me on Instagram, guys. Let us know how you're enjoying the show. I love your feedback. I love hearing from you all. And we look forward to hearing you all again on the next episode. Take care. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for listening. Definitely feel free to take a screenshot of this episode, tag me in it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you find me on social media. I would love to give you a shout out. Hey, you might even get a prize. Who knows? But excited that you had a chance to take a listen. I hope you got a lot of value. And definitely feel free to give us 5 stars as well as a review. Show us some love, and we appreciate you. God bless you all, and see you all over the top.